good friend Brett. How you doing tonight, Brett?
I'm doing fantastic. Actually, I just have some breaking news, Seth. This is the first time we're ever going to do this,
Breaking
but
news immediately.
yeah. It looks like Shams is full of shit. That thing just popped up.
Okay.
I didn't realize that, but maybe we should get into that in a little bit.
That's inevitable. I think. Yeah, a wild week of constant reports from Shams, ESPN, others, basically everybody, and all for nothing. Like, was there anything there? I'm not sure. So actually, kind of interesting. My quick take right off the bat. I think normally, like we should all be kind of disappointed. This is like a really disappointing season. Makes sense to kind of change up the roster. Let's make some changes and just see what happens at the very least. Like do
Hmm.
something. They did do one thing, but I think we were expecting more and maybe a bigger name. Two guys at the end of the bench were moved, Anthony and Coffee, and that was it. So I think normally you'd be like kind of disappointed. What the heck? What are we doing here? But because everything was about Giannis and everyone in the world thought he was being traded, and then he wasn't, and then he like went off on it with some posts and some interviews this week actually. It's just a lot of vindication for guys like you and I who have been saying he's not going to be traded for a year since we went on the Phillies podcast with that guy, and they were kind of thinking he's going to be traded, and you were like, I guarantee you, he's not going to be traded. So vindication for you for that kind of statement. Both of us this year kind of have been saying that and posting that on Twitter, X. Um, so yeah, that's what I'd say off the bat. We should be disappointed, but I think we're kind of on a high a little bit, feeling vindicated, and obviously happy that Giannis is still a Milwaukee Buck.
Yeah, obviously, you and I have kind of dug our heels in and tried to tell everyone, like, look, this is just isn't happening. And, like, even when I was talking to Ashley tonight, she's like, well, I don't understand. Why did you and Seth think so, like, highly that this wasn't going to happen? She's like, Giannis isn't saying stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. Like, I completely understand why people fell for this. Like, number one, when you start thinking about like how many sports networks are out there, it's like ESPN, and then it's going to give you a pause to think like, well, I don't know, like Fox has sports, but is that like a network? Like it's ESPN. So if they have a reporter and they're telling you something, like there's going to be something to it. But as we've talked about before, Shams never has a source. It's just kind of bullshit, clicks and stuff like that. But like, so Ashley was like, well, why isn't Giannis saying more? And I think like, why does he have to keep saying it? He said it before. Now it's almost to the point like how many times do you need the guy to say it? Like the reports that have come out is like, look, my kids have been born in Milwaukee. My dad's buried in Milwaukee. I love Milwaukee. Like, wow, I don't know what else you want to hear. Like, I mean, the guy, when he
I
finally
want
comes
to
out,
win
he's like,
championships in Milwaukee.
yeah. I pulled up a list. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I just did a quick like AI search just to be like, I just want to make sure I'm not crazy. Like, how many players in the NBA in the last 5 years have an MVP in a championship? Do you know who off the top of your head?
Oh, an MVP and a championship. In the past 5 years,
5 years.
I would say that
Which, spoiler alert, it's the same
one,
answer
two,
for 10 years.
three, four, four off the top of my head.
Okay, who do you got?
Five actually. It's five, right? It's
Five.
Shea,
Yeah. Yep.
Jokic, Steph, LeBron,
Yep.
Giannis.
It does.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, it's like, all right, well, you're not going to talk about LeBron getting traded because he's old and he's just kind of like on this like decade long like farewell tour that everyone's kind of just like hoping wraps up sooner than later. I think at most point, and, Shea is a young guy. He's at the team. Like, obviously you're not going to talk about him, right? So right off the bat, let's get rid of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steph is going to be like another LeBron. He's been with that team forever. He's maybe closer to like a Kobe, where he won some championships with the team. Is he going to either kind of ride or die with them, or is he going to try to push for one more? But I think we know Steph pretty well that like he's going to just ride it out with the Warriors and see what happens. So now you're down to Jokic and Giannis, both in, let's call it undesirable NBA franchises
Okay.
because they're not a coastal city,
Yeah.
and people just can't wrap their head around like, why would you not live in Miami if you could? Okay, fine, maybe a fair point. why would you live in LA if you could? Why didn't you go to New York? But the reality is, like, we've talked about this multiple times. Like, nobody ever talks about Jokic getting traded. They're totally fine with him just sitting there. And it's like, you know, when Giannis finally comes out and he's like, look, I love Milwaukee. I want to be here, but I want to be here and win. Well, yeah, obviously. Like, that's the whole point of the whole thing. Like, you should be wanting to play and wanting to win. Like, he's not just like some sideshow where it's like, oh, let's just put Giannis out there and see what happens. But there is something to that. And I don't want to get on too long of a tangent, but like, Giannis is 31. In the last 3 years, he's been injured every single year, right?
Yep.
That's a big risk, you know? And then when you listen to some people, it's like, it's true. Giannis is not the best shooter. He has no three-point game. His free throw percentage is iffy. And his mid-range is, you know, he's working on it, but he's 31. So it might
yeah, the mid-range was great last year. Kind of he hasn't shot as many this year,
But you're not getting a guy that's like he's does one thing better than anybody. But he's not like, you know, Jokic. I think the thing that's nice about Jokic, he's been a great passer his whole career, right?
Yeah.
Giannis is working on that. You can see he's getting better. But for some people, like Giannis is due for a major extension in 6 months or 8 months, something like
October.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bucks are the only ones that are going to give him that money. Like I swear, like it's just the way it is. And we'll dive into this. And I'll throw it back to you. But like every single team, you could sit here and we'll talk about like, does Giannis fit? And the thing that the matter is like some of the reports came out and they're like, well, franchise got to the point where Giannis didn't want to be the number 2 player on a team. Well, no shit, he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And then you start going down the list. It's like, well, he's not going to work with New York because Brunson needs the ball. Yeah, he's not going to work with New York, period. It just doesn't make sense. He's not a true center. He's not a true power forward. He needs the ball, and he needs to be the guy. And you throw him on a team with Brunson, that's never going to work. You throw him on a team with Jokic, or Luka, that's not going to work. You start to get like, there's a smaller group. And then last thing I'm going to say is these mock trades where it's like, hey, Miami's going to give you their entire team for Giannis. It's like, Miami fucking sucks. Who wants their whole team? How is that a good deal? Like, are we like paying attention here? Oh, can we have all of, I don't know, fucking Portland in exchange for Giannis? Yeah, Portland sucks too. Like, these trades are stupid. All right, tangent over. I'll go back to you.
Yeah, what you said at the end there has always been striking to me, where it's like all this talk about Miami. Miami was like the number 1 team that there was talk of. They don't have anybody that I would be excited about. You know, I'm not sure what the general manager thinks, but Tyler Hero is not who you want on your team. Like, period. Like, I don't really like him. I don't want him. I would like him off the bench as a 6th man. I guess I could see that working.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't want him as a starter. I definitely don't want him as like the main guy or the second main guy. Like, that's horrible.
And to that, real quick, I'm going to jump in, is like everybody in Wisconsin always wants Wisconsin guys to be on Wisconsin teams. But if you've ever watched Wisconsin sports don't want Wisconsin guys on their team. They pass on TJ Watt, they pass on JJ Watt, they pass on, like, I mean, it's endless. Like, they don't want homegrown people. So just move on.
That's right. But, you know, Miami and other teams, but, you know, Portland's maybe up and coming more perhaps. But either way, the point is, like, I think Miami's a great example. And I saw like something about how the Bucks are only 2 games back from the play-in or something. It's like, actually the Bucks could easily make the playoffs here. But in the collection of teams that were kind of like in striking distance of Milwaukee was Miami. It's like, so they're basically like a similar team to Milwaukee, but for some reason everyone in sports media thinks it's so stupid for Giannis to stay in Milwaukee because they never can win. But Miami can give up a bunch of players and a bunch of picks, and they're going to be better. They're not thinking it through. Just like one step, you know, like, hey, once Giannis is there, what does it look like? You know, why is Miami so much better? I mean, they have a great coach. I mean, I guess I would like that. That's a good point. That. But I mean, we're talking about winning championships, and we're talking about winning championships right now, like this season, right? Like, so you think Miami is now suddenly competing, but you think Milwaukee has no chance at all, like in the next 5 years. And just that kind of, that is like continually for most of these teams. The Knicks, I think you could argue, are a better team, better positioned to kind of make that step. but the trade doesn't make any sense. They didn't have picks. It's like that was never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true for all the good teams. The good teams who can make the trade, there's never been talk about them. They don't want it. Why would OKC make that trade? Why would San Antonio? You want Wemby? You really want Giannis to come with Wemby? I think that they're going to butt heads. That doesn't seem like it's going to work. And you're just messing up what you have a really good thing going in San Antonio with this young group of guys. So it makes sense that they're not going to want Giannis. I think Houston is a maybe this summer.
Yes.
I could see that happening. I could see them making a really good trade package. And I would say like that's possible, and I want Giannis to stay. He's so fun to be a fan for. Like, even if we're not winning, he gives us, I feel like I have a chance. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can talk myself into it. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's irrational sometimes, but he's awesome. He's great. He's been in Milwaukee forever. He loves Milwaukee. It's just, I'd rather him stay. But if he's going to go, I want a really good trade package. And Milwaukee, seemingly, thankfully, has the same thought. They're not just going to get rid of him. Like, just get rid of him. He doesn't want to be there. Like, be nice to him because he's done so much for you. Like, that's not how it works. Do you know how... I don't know why I stopped swearing. We swear all the time. Do you know how fucked Milwaukee is? If they just, like, get rid of Giannis and don't get, like, an extremely good return. We don't own our own picks till 2031. You can't tank. You can't just like own your tank. You can't be like, we're going to be horrible and then we're going to get a top 3 pick. You actually can't do that. I don't think anyone understands that. And if you can't do that, then why would you just get rid of Giannis for Tyler Hero and a couple guys where it's like, you're going to suck and you have nothing going. It's just going to be a nightmare for 5 years. You're going to be the Wizards or the Hornets. Well, Hornets actually look like they finally have a future maybe, but you're going to be one of these franchises that's just kind of in purgatory for 5-10 years. The Bulls, it's just not good. The Bucks have put themselves in a really tough spot, and that's part of the reason why they can't just get rid of Giannis. If they own their own picks, it would make a lot more sense. You'd be like, all right, get rid of them. We can tank. We can draft guys. I still wouldn't want to do that, but it would make more sense. People aren't really understanding the full picture here. It's just like you can't even tank. It's a tough spot. The best thing by far is keep Giannis and try to be competitive.
Yes, I agree. I mean, if I knew right now that Giannis was going to play another 10 years, I would say keep him, and I'd rather ride and die with him and see what happens, and then the next 10 years be the Wizards or, pick a team, and I'd rather give it a shot with Giannis. Because, like, here's the one that bothered me the most is we both listened to the GOAT podcast, and the last 2 episodes got me so mad. Number one, those guys know better than to buy into what the reports were. And that bothered me because I'm like, you guys are supposed to be smart basketball guys. What the hell is wrong with you?
I think part of that is, Golliver is a media member. Washington Post, and Sharp used to be Sports Illustrated. They both were initially. That's how the podcast started. So I can see them being partial to, like respecting guys like Shams and just all these sports media guys, and just like having respect for them and not wanting to criticize them. And even if they're in their heads thinking that, like I could understand them not saying that. But anyhow, I think that's probably why. It's because they're a member of that community.
I completely agree. And it goes back to like, we can sit here and shit on Shams, whatever, all we want. But like, I get why people get, sucked into it. And I understand, like, if you're going to have a podcast, you want to talk about it. Here we are talking about
again
a report that for the last, like, however long we've been doing this, we've been saying Giannis is not getting traded. But here's the one that pissed me off the most is they're talking about trade packages for Giannis. And they said, all right, if you are Philly and you trade the Paul George contract, which they made it seem like it was expiring, but I'm pretty sure it's not, which is like immediately I'm out if it's Paul George. Like immediately I'm out. But they're like, all right, then you throw in VJ Edgecombe, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, exciting guy. Like, well, here we go. Here's where they lost me. They said, well, then you take Edgecombe and trade him to Portland and get your picks back. Because if you get those picks, you're hoping to draft a guy like Edgecombe. I go, well, hold on. Wait a minute.
You have the guy.
So we're going to trade Giannis to get a young rookie, to trade him to hopefully get the next Edgecombe or Giannis? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you both have him on the team, and we're trading for this What the? I really was like so lost. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And then the other one they got was they're like, all right, I can't remember the team. Let's just say Charlotte, just because it was on my mind. They're like, let's say Charlotte traded all these teams, and like, if Giannis was on Charlotte, I think at best they're hoping for the 12 seed. I go, Milwaukee's the fucking 12 seed right now. So what are you talking about? Like, if Giannis came out and was like, I fucking hate Milwaukee.
Yes.
I need out. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I get it. But how many
Yep.
times? And this was the icing on the cake, the thing I sent today. Giannis, somebody said like, "Oh, I'm so sick of Giannis. He's like the couple that's always talking about breaking up and blah blah blah." And the person goes, "No, it's the happy couple that you are hoping breaks up because you can sleep with the wife." That's 1,000% accurate. It's the most accurate thing I've ever seen, maybe in the history of Twitter X, because it's like you want Giannis to leave, so you have a chance, but he's never told you. I mean, and the same thing is like, can you imagine if every day of your life you had to tell your neighbor that you love your wife? You'd be like, dude, how many fucking times am I going to tell you? Like, back off. Like, it's not happening. But like, I kind of feel like that's where Giannis is at. Like, I don't have to like entertain this anymore.
We shouldn't. We should not. And I guess something I did want to touch on, since we're diving into it, is that this week, maybe 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, Giannis gave an interview to Jim Orlasky, whatever the guy's name is. He's only on Blue Sky, so I don't respect him. But he is a good reporter for the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis did an interview with him, blatantly saying things like, "I love Milwaukee." You alluded to it. My dad's buried here. I would love to stay here. I want to win championships in Milwaukee. Blah blah blah. All the stuff. Sure, a couple of comments about wanting to compete. I don't know what the owners are going to do. Okay. But a lot of, really the message was, I want to be here. I think pretty loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he gives the interview to Eric Nehm with the Atlantic the next day. So the two local beat reporter guys for the Bucks have a interview with Giannis, like the main source of this story, right? I did not see reports out there from ESPN or anybody else really. It was basically just, if you have the New York Times Athletic subscription, then you saw it, or if you're a Milwaukee guy and you get the Journal Sentinel or whatever, like that's it. If you're tuned in, you're on Bucks Twitter, you're gonna see it. Otherwise, you may not have seen it. And they completely ignored it. The next 2 days, it's just nonstop. Giannis is going to be, it's Giannis sweepstakes. Giannis. It's like, did you guys see the interviews that Giannis himself did? His words, with Windhorst and Shams, it's league sources tell me. Who are these people? And by the way, whoever they are completely unreliable. Maybe you should get new sources. Stop listening to them. And why are we all buying into it? How many times? It's just, that's the part where why is society not getting to a point of hey, I don't trust these guys. Whatever their sources are, they're not trustworthy. Okay, unless he's talking to Giannis, unless someone's coming on the record and we hear this person said this and he's the assistant coach or whatever. If you're not doing that, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I'm out. Okay, it's just bullshit until I get it from a legitimate source.
Absolutely. So real quick, I think your audio is coming through your earbuds, so just double check that while I'm talking. But look, if you were an insider back 30, 40, 50 years ago, yeah, that makes sense. But nowadays, all right, if I got a job at the Milwaukee Bucks and dipshit Shams calls me up and says, "Hey, you got any in-source?" I go, "Suck my dick. I'm not telling you shit." I'd rather keep my job at the Bucks than help you do anything. So I don't understand the source of these people they're talking about. But I'm trying to come into this understanding why people do some things. And it's all right, if I got report, which by the way, here's the little asterisk to the question I asked before. The only other MVP in that same time period we talked about was, I want to say Greg Oden, but that's not who was the fucking guy from Philly. Why can't I think of him?
Embiid, who are we talking about?
Embiid, thank you.
Okay.
Holy cow. Joel Embiid was the only other MVP that a lot of people are whatever. But look, I'm not a Philly fan.
Right.
So if all of a sudden ESPN said Embiid wants out, I'd probably buy into it. I'm not listening to
Yes.
local
Yep.
guys, so I get
Yep.
it. I 100%
Hmm.
get it. But it's to the same point where it's like Giannis is telling you all these things. There's nothing that is telling you otherwise, but this insider source, and it's like the season is not going the way we want it to be. We're gonna get into some of these questions about some of these additions as well, but like it's not like the Bucks have not tried every single year that Giannis is there to try to win. It's not there's no reason that the Bucks would be like, we don't like you, because ignore all the fact with him, they're them signing like his brothers to like G League contracts, stuff like that. They traded everything for Dame. Every team in the league would have done what they did to try to get Dame. Who you can look back and say you wouldn't, but you would have, I guarantee, in a heartbeat if that would have happened. So then you retool this year, and as a reminder, we had not only the number one center, but the number one free agent on every list you saw, Miles Turner, comes to Milwaukee. So again, another move the Bucks made to attempt to try to win it all. KPJ showed a lot of life last year, so you sign him. Rollins comes along, Green's coming along. I mean, yes, we're extremely optimistic because that's what we are, but like there were things that were lining up that made sense. And I really don't want to be talking about Doc on this particular episode, but like that's part of it. They're doing everything. There's nothing that the Bucks are doing to piss Giannis off for this to be a story.
Yep. Exactly. Before we move on, real quick, I saw a post referencing Dirk Nowitzki, who went to the NBA Finals, I think at age 1 year younger than Giannis, I believe. The next 3 seasons, they only won one playoff series. So very similar situation, very similar age to Giannis, similar player, that kind of thing. Obviously he stayed with the Mavericks, and that was a different time. This kind of this asking out. It's certainly a players' league more than it was before. Either way, the point is he did stay, and what happened is he won a championship. So, you know, good things can happen. Like who knows? Just because they've had problems and they've only won one playoff series the past 3 years, it's like that doesn't mean they can't ever win it. Look at the Warriors. The Warriors were, I mean, I guess they had, Steph was hurt, and so they were terrible. And then they had a couple of really good draft picks. Well, they didn't turn out to be great. I mean, top 5, top 10 picks. But they completely, they went to the bottom and then they came back and they won a championship with Steph Curry, driving that team, being incredible, winning the Finals MVP. So it's just like, why can't that happen? And how old was Steph Curry when that happened? He's 38 now. So he was probably 34, 30,
Yeah,
35,
exactly.
something like
Yeah.
that. It's just, people are just so short sighted. And it's like, yeah, do they just hate Milwaukee? They just want him especially the media, they just want him in New York and Miami and Boston and whatever. I'm sure that is part of it. But in terms of can they win, the answer is yes. It's hard. They don't have a bunch of draft picks and things like that, so it's going to be difficult. They have to hit on some things. In the past few years, they haven't. Right, the Dame Lillard trade just didn't work out. Miles Turner this year isn't looking like what we wanted it to. It still might in the future. I don't think we're out on Turner, but we do need to hit on some things. I'm kind of out on KPJ, but maybe we keep him and maybe he really becomes more consistent and dribbles the ball a little bit less and a little bit more of a team player. But he is awesome on certain nights. It's just sometimes he's not. So anyway, we need things to work out, but it is possible. So yeah, anything else, or do you want to move on to the trade?
Well, I was just going to piggyback on the last thing you said. With the Dirk thing. It's like I think sports fans. Our friend group. You and I are by far the best. I shouldn't say the best. Well, we are the best, but
Obviously, yeah,
we're
it
the
goes without
most
saying.
most in tune with basketball in general, right? Like everyone else kind of likes basketball, but nobody's following it nearly as close as we are.
Yeah.
But the other thing is modern sports is all about winning championships, which should always be. But everyone gets greedy because you saw Tom Brady win 6 rings, and you saw Kobe Bryant win 5 rings, and you saw Jordan wins. It is so difficult to win a championship that Dirk Nowitzki is super happy he won one. Look at Karl Malone. He's considered one of the best power forwards of all time. Never won. So fuck Karl Malone, right? John Stockton, one of the best point guards ever. Never won.
Yeah,
Fuck
Charles Barkley.
Because you're not winning multiple, somehow you're a piece of shit. I don't buy that kind of thing. You know, it's like winning a championship is a huge part of it, and we did it. You know, that's it. Like it's again, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. People just don't understand why people want to live in Wisconsin, and I'll get it if somebody was calling me up and be like, "Hey, Brett, would you want to live in Miami and we'll pay you 3 times as much as you make?" Yeah, that sounds great. But I don't know. I kind of like what I'm doing, and I like where I live, and it's not that enticing. Like I'm not trying to get out of here. Like if it makes sense, then maybe I'll talk about it. But beyond that, like the thought process of everybody's trying to get out of Wisconsin, I think is the narrative that just. I mean, you even look at the Packers. You know, people are saying that like, oh my God, it's so cold. It's not like cold every fucking day. Like, chill out. Like, these people are getting paid millions of dollars to play wherever the hell you tell them to play. They want good organizations, and they want people that like are coming together. And I think that's what we have.
Yeah, coming together. That's what the Bucks need to do now: is come together, play as a team, and hopefully they're solving some of the problems. And Giannis had alluded to a player or players that he didn't seem to like, or wasn't playing the right way, wasn't approaching the game the right way. We don't know who he was talking about. Was it one guy? Was it multiple guys? Was he just frustrated? We don't know. But the Bucks did make a move, and they traded Amir Coffey and Cole Anthony. So was that a move to kind of build team chemistry, or was that a move to be like, hey, let's go get this young guy? They got Ousmane Dieng, a French guy. They also got Nigel Hayes, which is now Nigel Hayes Davis. He somehow added a last name since we've seen him in Wisconsin.
He must have got married.
I guess so. So I think Nigel Hayes might be. I'm gonna guess they're gonna waive him to clear up a spot either for Pete Nance or for some buyout, maybe Chris Middleton maybe he wants to come home. That's my guess, because if he stays, I don't know. I guess we'll see what he does. He has not really played in the NBA much at all. He did play out his rookie contract 4 years, but he barely played, and then he was overseas, and then he was just back this year, barely played, now traded. So I'm not counting too much on him, but I think the main guy that we got is Ousmane Dieng, French guy, picked number 11 in 2022 by the Knicks, and then immediately traded to OKC for 3 protected 2023 first-round picks. So they seemed to really like him at the time. Yeah. Those first-round, I think they ended up being 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. But anyways, that's kind of a lot just to like get this guy who didn't really play for him. I mean, it's OKC. They're spoiled. They have a lot of guys. They just won a championship. They don't need this guy. But he was picked 11th, and they traded for him, so he must not have been hitting expectations. There's other young guys in OKC playing, a lot of young guys, like similar age to this guy. So he apparently just wasn't good enough, he didn't grow his game enough. I'm not sure. He also did not make the French Olympic roster or the French Eurobasket roster. So that was the 2025 and 2024. He did not make the French team. So I think there's some question marks, like how good is this guy? And it's been 4 years. Like, is he ever going to kind of take that step? It's still worth a shot, because who cares about Cole Anthony, and especially Amir Coffey, who started the last 2 or 3 games, 16 points last night.
Yeah. He actually had a good game for a while.
He did. Yeah.
Every time they showed like the top 5 scorers and his name was up there, I was like, what am I looking at? Like, what's happening?
But like we've talked about, it's like we are somewhat playing for the future. We want to like be building a team, right? Is Amir Coffey a part of our championship team, like in theory, in like next year or 2 years from now? No, he's not that guy. He's just a guy. It's like we need to get rid of just these guys who are just nothing burgers. I'd rather take a flyer on this guy, Dieng, Dieng. I think it's Dieng. Maybe he becomes something. Also, I think he can play the wing. They list him as a forward center, but it seems like he kind of has the guard skills. Like, I think he is kind of a 3 possibility. So throw him in there, like play him. Let's see what happens. If we lose, it's not bad. Like if we lose this year, that's fine because we're going to get our pick. Very, very likely. The Pelicans are not going to be good. We're going to get a good pick either way. So that's what I want. I'm hoping that they play him. I'm hoping that they play Ajax more. I'm hoping that they play Pete Nance, and just maybe they become something. Like, you have to be trying to find like the next Ryan Rollins, right? Type of a situation. Don't waste time with Cole Anthony, Amir Coffey, whoever else. Just these guys who are just guys. So that's what I like about the trade. I mean, it's a pretty boring trade in general, I would say. And then I guess, again, what I said at the beginning of that is I wonder if this is partially a team chemistry thing. I could totally see Cole Anthony being a guy that kind of rubs people the wrong way with how he plays the game. Kind of just the ball sticks too much. And, I could see maybe Giannis was referring to him, but I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, look, it's a good trade if you really break it down, because, like, I think Cole Anthony played for North Carolina. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, North Carolina guys are kind of assholes, so they probably think they're like the shit. And so, like, Cole Anthony, like, at the beginning of the year, I said, though Cole Anthony and that group of guys, I was excited to see giving fresh start. Like, what do they do? Because they weren't doing anything on other teams. Well, Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey were kind of what you thought they were. Like you said, they're a bunch of just another guy on the team. So it's like, I'll take that chance every single time to get a guy that was a lottery pick who, was worth a lot to some team at some point. And the other thing is, like, you have to factor in that, like, some NBA teams are dumb sometimes. Like, if he's listed as a power center, but he's never played that, well, yeah, he might fail at that role. So does that mean he's a bad basketball player? No. Like, the one I look at is, like, speaking of another hyphenated name, Indiana College had a player.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he the guy in the Warriors?
I want to say Jackson Davis, maybe?
Yeah, isn't that him?
Warriors.
Yeah, they
He just got traded again. He was solid in college. He wasn't, like, the best guy in the world, but he was really good. He goes to the Warriors. The time he gets a chance to play, he's playing really well.
Yeah.
And then they just bury him again. And it's like, okay, I don't know what you did on that team to deserve it, but it's the same thing that we're sitting here as Bucks fans in Wisconsin being like, I don't know what the fuck Andre Jackson did to not play. Golden State might have been thinking the same thing, and it's like people in OKC might have been thinking the same thing about French boy, and maybe we get a chance. I don't know. But it's worth a shot. And back to my original thought, if Cole Anthony is some North Carolina douchebag, like, I can understand him coming in there and rubbing a guy like Giannis the wrong way. It's like, you need to come in here, know your role, and play the game. But I don't give two shits if you went to North Carolina. I don't care what you did. Come in here and show me that you deserve to be here. And I didn't see anything from Cole Anthony in these games or Amir Coffey to say, like, you are an asshole, but there's probably a reason they left, to your point. Like, Giannis, we've said it till we're blue in the face again. The Bucks are going to do whatever Giannis wants them to do. He might not be the GM in the way that LeBron has tried to be and fucked up every single time he did it, but they could just be like, hey, what do you think? And if he's like, Amir Coffey and Cole Anthony are a bunch of assholes, like, yeah, okay, we'll get rid of them and we'll take whoever comes in. So I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's any chance Nigel Hayes stays on the team and possibly plays? The one thing I'll say about Nigel Hayes is I really like his personality. I think he's going to be very professional. I think he's going to have the right attitude. He's going to probably play like his heart out. So if he stays on the team, I think it is maybe a positive, even if he doesn't play, just kind of just being part of the team at practice, taking, I assume they kind of, scout other teams, and they have like a scout team, where he pretends to be the other guys or whatever. I'm sure he'd be awesome at that kind of thing. So I like the guy. Obviously I'm biased because he played for Wisconsin. He went to the championship game with that Wisconsin team. So love Nigel Hayes. It is hard for me to see him getting playing time. He's a horrible 3-point shooter. He always has been. I looked at his stats. It's terrible. I'm not sure he's a good size, for what the Bucks are looking for. So yeah, I guess we'll see. But do you think he has a chance to play and contribute, or what do you see with him?
So I would immediately say no, because of like you said, the stats don't jump out, his height and weight don't jump out. There's nothing there. But I'll throw out this thing: Wisconsin has always come across as a, I don't want to say strict, but a very like regimented team. Like it's not just like a loosey goosey, like a bunch of guys. Like Tennessee, I've always, throughout my entire thought, was like
Nice.
Tennessee is a bunch of guys that are like, the coach isn't doing shit. He's like throwing the ball in the middle of the court and being like, these guys just are going to hoop and we'll hope it works. But Wisconsin, it's like, this is how you play and this is what we're going to do. And that team, like you said, went to the championship, all right? So he's understood that aspect. There are not that many guys that go overseas and come back. It just doesn't happen that often. I mean, I bet you
Yeah, that's not too often.
yeah, I mean, Sam Decker has won at least an MVP and at least a championship overseas and has never gotten a single shot back in the NBA. And he was a lottery pick.
Which is funny because
Yeah.
he might kind of work at that.
Yeah.
I'd try Sam Decker at the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there might be something about Nigel Hayes, and he's a smart guy. I mean, he was always like, clever and, kind of like was good with the media.
Yeah.
And to your point, that might be, if Doc's going to typically play 7 guys, which he is, and it's going to infuriate us forever. Yeah, I'll have a Nigel Hayes and a Thanasis at the end of the bench and hope that is providing some team chemistry and some kicking some ass, because we already talked about, we know Giannis has that drive, but he can be a leader without being a leader, if that makes sense. Like, he wants to lead by his actions, but he might not be the vocal guy we all expect. We all know Thanasis is hugely vocal, and Nigel Hayes seems like he might fit. Like, I'd rather take a shot of those guys kicking somebody in the ass and being like, let's get better, than whatever the fuck Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey were doing, which was just wasting space.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, I guess I'll wrap it up and say, I doubt Nigel Hayes is going to do anything, but I would say he's got a 30% chance of making it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I guess real quick on that, like Pete Nance, he's shown something. I think people want him to get signed potentially, but he's only played 19 games, and a two-way contract guy can play 50. So he's got 31 games left before they're kind of forced to make a decision. And if they do get into the playoffs and they want to compete and they think Nance is going to help, they need to sign him. Two-way guys can't play in the playoffs. So, maybe at some point that happens, but there's no rush for Nance to get that spot. He can play another 30 games, without doing that. And then if they want to buy out a guy, I guess that would be the other reason to waive him if they want. I guess real quick, what do you think about Cam Thomas? He was waived by the Nets. Sorry. Cam Thomas waived by the Nets after all these trade rumors of getting 2 first-round picks or whatever they were. Just waived him. He averaged 24 points a game last year. It's like he's not nothing. He's talented, but he probably doesn't play defense, and he's just the ball sticks. He's one of those guys. Which is like, do you want that guy? I'm not sure. So, what do you think? Do you want that guy? Do you think the Bucks go for a guy which would maybe be kind of like a Cole Anthony replacement kind of, I guess?
Well, I mean, I'm going to say no, because number one, nobody wanted him. And I understand that, Brooklyn's price was high, but and you never know what's going to happen there. But the last thing I think we really need is a 24-point-a-game guy, because when Giannis is healthy, he needs the ball. And I think that's the problem that we've had with KPJ, is he seems a little ball hoggish.
Yep. Yeah.
Rollins is a great athlete, but doesn't seem to have that same ball hog thing. But he also doesn't make the same exciting plays that KPJ does. So it's there you are.
Yep.
So I'd rather have a great defender that is passing the ball around and letting Giannis get every possible shot he can make than someone like that. I'm not against it by any stretch, but here's the other thing. Again, this is a Bucks podcast. It's not the all NBA, but you and I watch plenty of NBA. I don't know how many teams have had as much success with two-way players as the Bucks have had recently.
They've done well. Yeah.
Are starters 90% of the time, two-way guys.
Yeah.
Who's to say the next, I don't know, whatever is coming from our farm system, so to speak. I'm okay with that. And if I'm some 21-year-old kid on a two-way and I get to play with Giannis, like, yeah, whatever Giannis wants me to do, I'll do. Like, if I have to sit on the wing and wait for that shot and take the shot, like, I'll do it. But like, Cole Anthony might be trying to prove something. KJ is definitely trying to prove something because he's trying to show that he's not the other guy that he was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'd probably say no. I also feel like there's a reason Cam Thomas wasn't on Brooklyn. Brooklyn sucks, but they also didn't want him. So
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
That's
I'm worried
kinda
that,
interesting.
Doc's going to come in and be like, holy shit, this guy, 24 points a game, like, I'm putting him in. And it's like, all right, well, does he fit? Or are you just playing him because you got your head up your ass and you don't know what the fuck you're doing? Like, I don't know. So I guess I would lean more towards no. Stick with the guys we got. Hopefully that the Coffee Anthony removal was the key. I would love to see that. I don't know if it's the case, like you said, but I don't know. I'm okay taking a chance. I think push comes to shove. I'd rather take a minimum deal with Chris Middleton, personally.
If if he wants to come here, I feel like you just do it. Like, yes,
Yeah.
do it, of course. But he probably wants to play for a team that's competing this year. Yeah, if there's a team out there that wants him, I guess I don't know. But that's funny about saying the Nets, just like they didn't want him, like they just waived him, like they didn't have to do that. They could have kept him, they could have played him. And the report I saw was like, oh, they're doing him a favor so he can go somewhere else. Like, first of all, how big of a favor do these teams do? Like, why? I'm not sure. I totally
I'm a
believe
professional sports franchise with a billionaire owner, but I feel bad for this guy, so I'm gonna do right by him. It's the same thing as also like, hey, your homeless neighbor down the street threw away a chair, but it's a pretty nice chair. The homeless guy didn't fucking want it. Like, there might be something wrong with it. Besides,
And, like, why is it so bad to be on the Nets? I mean, they're losing, but who's Cam Thomas to say like I need to be on a winning team? Like, who are you? Like, you don't you know what I mean? He doesn't deserve that. So the whole thing does scream like he's a problem.
right?
Either he
Yes,
sucks or he's a problem in the locker room or whatever it is. So yeah, I agree. I don't want them to go for him. I'm a little worried. I'm not. I don't think they will. But it just seems like the kind of guy that is like the kind of guy Giannis doesn't want. He's gonna get on the team, and Giannis is gonna be like, "Who's this? Like, what's this guy? Like, why is he here?" So I do trust Horst kind of a lot. Like, I think all the rumors that are out there, like, I don't believe them because half of them I'm just like, I know Horst enough that he's not doing this. Like, he hasn't proven. You see some of these other deals out there that these GMs are doing. You're like, what are you thinking? Like, this makes no sense. I haven't seen Horst make a move like that. He's made some moves that are regrettable. What, 4 seconds or 5 seconds for Jay Crowder? But I could understand what he was doing. Whatever. There's a couple of trades that maybe you'd be like, I wouldn't have done that. But I think that's more in hindsight. I think at the time, people weren't really upset about it. We were like in the throes of like competing for championships, and Jay Crowder was the kind of piece where you're, defensive big guy type guy. Jay Crowder just wasn't as good. That was kind of the main problem. If we had Jay Crowder from like 2 years before, it would have been awesome. So anyway, I think we need to give Horst some respect. He so far to this point has been a good GM that doesn't do stupid things. And that's why when you see these dumb Giannis trades, I'm like, that's not happening. I'm like on Twitter saying like, this isn't going to happen. This doesn't make sense. And like, yeah, sure it does. I'm like, maybe it does for Dallas. I bet you Dallas would do it. I bet you the Kings would do it. Okay. Like, some teams would do it, but I don't think Horst and the Bucks are going to make a stupid move like that.
You're so right, because number one, Horst is a young guy. I don't think he's even 40 yet, or if he is, he's like just 40. So it's like it's a nice combo to have a young GM and an older coach, because maybe they can kind of go back and forth. But like, Dallas gave away fucking Luka for nothing, and the Kings took on all of Chicago's garbage that nobody in the league wanted. And they're like, yeah, we got DeRozan. And they're like, yeah, he sucks. And they're like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Like, yeah, no, nobody wants him. And then they couldn't trade him. They kept saying, oh, Zach Levine and DeMar Rosen are available. Really? Shocking. Oh my God. I'm so surprised that those guys are available to you. But like, these new teams are all like, OKC and San Antonio are building from young guys, and it's not like they are getting lucky. San Antonio has like three guys that were top five picks. Like, yeah, that's gonna take some time and it's gonna work, and that's the type of thing that's gonna work. These other teams, it's like, let's not mortgage everything to try to win now. Like these trades, maybe we don't need to spend a lot of time on them. Like, oh, hey, Golden State is the top destination. They're going to offer Draymond Green. Hold on. Wait. Stop. Don't even say anything more if the first part of your sentence is Draymond Green. Old ass Draymond Green, who's undersized. He was good. He was very good at one point. Like 10 years ago. But now the guy is getting technicals. He's running KD out of town. Like, who the fuck wants that guy on the team? And then it was like the one I said before, Philly. Well, we'll start with Paul George. No. I don't even know what you're starting this trade. Like, I'm imagining if I'm Horst, like the phone comes up, they're like, all right, I got a deal for you. All right. First of all, Draymond, like, I wouldn't even finish the sentence. Be like, I'm hanging up. Like, such a stupid thing. Minnesota, hey, you know what? Who's available? Julius Randle. Holy shit, Julius Randle? That guy fucking sucks. Nobody wants Julius Randle. He has a role on Minnesota, but like Minnesota took all this time to get Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle. They haven't won fucking shit. And here we go. We have an MVP that won the championship 5 years ago, and somehow we're the laughingstock of the league? Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and we should be thankful that we don't have a horrible GM. So, if Doc Rivers were the GM, we would have done a stupid move, guaranteed.
100%.
So, thankfully he's only the coach. Hopefully, just for a little bit longer.
Yeah, for Bucks fans, if we had Doc as the GM and Herb Cole as our owner, this team would, oh my God, you would be throwing up every day you would watch them, because you know that they would be throwing everything to get like Draymond Green and Chris Paul and like those.
They would have done Bradley Beal.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Quick note on that: Phoenix is actually good. Phoenix Suns actually somehow have turned it around. Okay, just another example of how you don't give up on a team. The Bucks can possibly be good. Okay, let's get to the mailbag before it gets too late. We're at 47, 48 minutes. And speaking of the owner, kind of. Mailbag number 1. Culture has been a problem the last 2 years. Where does the right leadership develop now that the guy who built this, he's referring to Peter Fagan, now that he's left? How does the new guy put his brand on the team? What's your reaction to that?
It's a great question. I think we can tell that there's something missing in the chemistry of the team. It's hard to point to it. Obviously, the coaching staff you would hope would have some sort of leadership and something there. You would hope that your star of Giannis is going to do something, but like, it's got to come somewhere else. And I think that the thing that's breaking down with the team right now is we went for this thing of like, let's have Giannis get surrounded by a bunch of guys that have specific skill sets and they're going to work, whatever. The problem with that is they're almost all too young. And there's nobody that has, they're all just like, whatever you say. You need somebody that's going to speak up. And you look at the team, I don't really know who that is. Like, you can maybe look at Bobby, but I don't think Bobby's that guy. Bobby's the guy that is getting a tech because somebody looked at him wrong. That's not a team thing. Giannis is too focused on like being the best player, so he can't do that. You're not going to look at Rollins, who's just happy to be there sometimes. Green, who's like, oh my God, I got to like, where's that going to come from? So you almost need to get some sort of veteran player on the team that's going to help voice and be like, look, here's the deal. Giannis is the man. You need to do more, and this is kind of how you're going to build it up. Thanasis has a little bit of that, but he's way too focused on Giannis, and he's going to do whatever Giannis wants. So, like, I would have been okay finding some mid-level vet, like a Chris Middleton or Pat Connaughton, like bringing some of those guys back, I think those would be a nice voice to have.
Yep.
Horst is an architect. He's building this team and he's putting pieces together. And there's not a lot of fault with what he's doing because it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Yeah, it doesn't always work, but they're all making sense at the moment. So I don't know. I think it's not going to come from the coaching staff. We've kind of seen that at this point. You can't hope from Giannis. So I'm hoping some player steps up. I would love it to be Bobby, the guy that's kind of gone through this whole thing. He understands how lucky it is to be in the Bucks because he went to the Bulls, a historic franchise, nothing happened. Went to the Knicks, a historic franchise, nothing happened. Comes to Milwaukee, nobody wants to play in Milwaukee, and here he goes. He wins a championship. He's beloved in the entire city. Bobby needs that voice. I would love for that to be Bobby. I just don't know. I don't think that's part of his repertoire.
I don't think it is either. I think he definitely is that spark plug guy in a game. But like I alluded to in the text, I feel like we're missing that from Bobby this year. Something's hasn't been there that has been in the past, and maybe it's just we're losing, and so I'm not gonna. No one's gonna see it because we're losing a lot of games. I guess that's possible, but and then he had a bad start when we were kind of winning some games, and then we had a good start and all that. Like he was pretty terrible for that first month and a half. And so since he's been good, the team has not been good, and so maybe that's a part of it. But anyhow, I do think something's kind of off, and hopefully now that we're past the trade deadline, I think for some players, especially guys like Bobby, who are always talked about a lot at the trade deadline, once you get past it, it's like, okay, now I can just play. Now I can just focus on the rest of the season. Nothing's going to happen the rest of the season, and it's just, I feel like it is a heavy weight on some of these guys, especially, again, Bobby. I mean, there's a number of Bucks fans who want him to be traded. There's talk about him being traded. I didn't see really many rumors, a couple here and there, but I'm sure he hears some of it, and even if he doesn't, I'm sure he's thinking like, I might be traded. I mean, I'm like one of the two guys with like a contract that you can trade, not on a minimum contract pretty much. And he's good. He's pretty good. He's like leading the league in 3-point percentage or top 10, whatever he is at this point. So I could see him thinking like, I might be traded, and so now that we're past it, maybe that helps. Maybe there's just like a freedom now that he has, and a kind of a recommitment to this team. Maybe he's like, hey, they might trade me. All this Giannis talk, like who knows what's going to happen. Okay, now we're past the deadline. Giannis has committed to this team, I think pretty loud and clear. Yep. He wants to come back and compete. So it's not like we're going to lose. It doesn't seem like the Bucks are heading in a direction of like, let's lose, let's sit Giannis for the rest of the year. Like, I think maybe they tried that, and Giannis was like, no, we're not doing that. So, maybe it's like, hey, let's come together. Let's make this happen. Let's make a push for the playoffs. I could see that. I mean, there's really, again, no reason why the Bucks are 12th. There's no good reason why the Bucks are 12th in the East. I mean, it's so much worse than we thought. It's worse than people who were down on the Bucks thought. I mean, people who were down on the Bucks thought they're in the play-in, I think. So, yeah. So in terms of the culture, I guess answering this question, though, I think Horst is a very important part of the team culture, and partially because he's been there for a long time, and he's brought in these guys, he's built relationships with these guys, he's a good relationship with Giannis, and so if he were to be fired, I would be extremely worried about the direction of the Milwaukee Bucks, because for one, there's no good reason to fire him. I think he's done a really good job. And for two, he's like one of the pieces that we've had, through this championship run and being really competitive and everything. And so, yeah, Peter Feigin is now leaving, which is kind of a little bit concerning, but which is, I guess, all the more importance of like, I do want to keep Horst here. I trust the guy. I think he's good. And he is, I think, a part of the culture. And if he goes, now I'm pretty worried. Doc Rivers obviously needs to go. He hasn't helped. It's not good. It's clear. It's been long enough. We've talked about it. He needs to go. So if you bring in a new coach, that's going to be a culture shift, and hopefully a positive one. So when, it sounds like it's not going to happen this year, but hopefully they fire Doc in the offseason. We get a new coach, a good coach, and hopefully he is bringing the right culture and building a competitive, good winning camaraderie, everything you want to see. So
So I just
I
have to,
think I think
I'm
it.
gonna burst if I don't say out my like analogies right now. So like
Okay.
I feel like the thing that's like you're touching on with Horst is he's very wanted. Like there was conversation about him going to Detroit to be their
Oh
head
yeah,
of
yeah,
basketball
that's right.
operations or president, whatever that title is. Here's the analogy. It's it going back to that same kind of one I had earlier. It's the couple that you're hoping breaks up because the wife is so hot and man if they break up I'm gonna totally date her. That's John Horst. Oh man, if they break up she is like, oh my god, she's like the guy we all want to go for. Doc Rivers is the guy that's been on Tinder for 15 years and finally is in a steady relationship and they're like, whoa, Doc, like yeah, everybody has had a chance with Doc and he's really not that exciting and like you're gonna find out at some point like that STD is gonna show up. But hey, if you're happy now, like I'll let you kind of be. And then the other thing was like, I think the dark horse for the leadership might be Miles Turner. Miles Turner, well, let's forget
Yes.
it, not forget, is 30 years old.
Yeah.
Right? I think 29, 30.
I think 30.
The honest age. Spent 10 years with a organization that built up and they went to the championship and stuff. Here's the analogy. Like when you go to a new workplace, a new office, it is very difficult for a while until you feel comfortable, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I go through this myself. It's been over a year, and I'm finally feeling comfortable at my own job. And it's like it's not my level of work; it's the comfort level with the other people I'm working with. That's very much Miles Turner. Miles is like embracing Milwaukee. He's going everywhere. Hey, let me go on social media and talk about my interests, and let me go to these Milwaukee. But it's hard to be a leader coming from another team because everyone's going to be like, "Fuck you, man! Like, who you coming here and telling us like what the Pacers do? Like, you know, that's going to take a little bit of time." So if we look at this year being like, let's retool. There is an outside shot. There's teams that get hot after the All-Star break all the time. Maybe that's going to happen, but like, let's hold the faith. And I think we're going to lead into our another question coming up. But like, Miles Turner is not someone to give up on yet. Like, he's new to the team. Like, you got to give him a little bit of time. He's not this guy that, yes, we all expected him to come in and be like immediate fire and change the team, and that's not what we're seeing. But it's there. It's not. This isn't a total waste. He's a great pick, and this is a guy that might be the guy that develops in another 6 months or a year.
Yeah. You want high character guys. Miles Turner seems like a high character guy.
Yeah.
So, that's a reason right there to not give up on him. You know, if he was a John Morant type of a guy, then you may be like, all right, you know what, I'm out on Turner. Let's try to get rid of him. But he's high character. He hasn't been horrible. It's been disappointing. It's more like we haven't seen his impact as much as we want to see. The rebounds, that's kind of part of his game, kind of like Brook Lopez. Like, I'm not sure how much we can really complain. It's not like, maybe I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I don't think he's completely dropped off in like rebounds per game or something like that. So that's just part of like, that's who he is, and that's who he was for Indiana, and they were very successful, and they built from not being a very good team to get into the championship, and he was a starter that entire time. So, yeah, I like Turner, and I think you hit it, that he is someone who could be a leader in the clubhouse kind of thing. In terms of the new president, which I don't know his name, but he's a Haslam guy, which we're all nervous about. I think the main thing is like, if he wants to come in and like be this like macho guy, like I'm the guy now, it's my team. Okay, that is, I really hope that doesn't happen. I'm very, I'd say that would be the downfall of the Bucks if he comes in and wants to, put his stamp on the team as opposed to fitting in and improving, doing what he needs to like get this team back to where it is and kind of fill what's missing here. But like, I don't think our culture is like so horrible or completely gone. I mean, I think the Bucks still have like a team culture there. Obviously we're losing, so there's something missing. But if he wants to have a struggle with Horst and end up firing Horst, okay, that's not good. But if he's going to kind of come alongside, help this team be more of a a helper, and not like I'm just going to take over. I guess that's really what I'm hoping from this guy. I don't know anything about him. A lot of people are down on him because he's a Haslam guy, but we'll just have to see. And Haslam doesn't own the team; he's a part owner,
Right.
so that also gives me hope. Like, I understand and agree with some of the negatives about the whole Haslam thing, but I'm not giving up on the Bucks because of it. Okay, he's not the 100% owner. He's not coming in and just changing everything all over the place. So we'll see what happens. But I guess that's my fear to kind of answer the question. And I think I think really who's in charge of the culture is really more the coach, the players, a little bit more than the team president, I guess.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm going to do is slightly defend Haslam, which is going to be shocking to everybody. But like,
Yes.
when you look at the Browns, right, the typical laughing stock of the league, like a lot of the moves that they've made at the time seemed great. It's just over time that they look stupid. Like Deshaun Watson looks like the worst deal ever, but at the time he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. Like, yes, you didn't do your research on what kind of character he is and what else was going on, but shit, they drafted Johnny Manziel. Looks stupid now, but at the time he was arguably the best quarterback in the draft class. Baker Mayfield, the best quarterback.
Mayfield,
like,
it's actually not bad.
yeah, there's a lot of like positives there that
Yeah.
just
They built a good
it's like,
defense. Yeah.
is it Haslam or is it something else? And is maybe Haslam's learning from this stuff? Like there's,
Possible.
I'm not bought in by any stretch, but like maybe if all of a sudden I had like $1 billion tomorrow and I bought a team, I'd probably fuck it up the first time. I probably would.
Yeah.
Maybe the second time I might get it right. So like there is a little spark of optimism there that maybe Haslam's got his head out of his ass and can do something.
And, apparently, I don't know how true it is. Apparently, Doc is his guy. He pushed it. He kind of made it happen. Okay, well, that hasn't worked out. And, does that make him kind of second guess himself? Does he kind of pull back? Does he now defer to Horst a little bit more? A lot of these billionaire type guys, maybe not so much, but we can hope that he learns some lessons. Like you're saying in Cleveland, he's maybe learned some things Cleveland has actually made some better moves as of late and wasn't really a terrible team, So it's not like all bad. I mean, it's not like they're the Sacramento Kings of the NFL. I mean, I guess they were for a while, and maybe that's what we're thinking of. But, I mean, they haven't really been that bad the past 5 years, have they?
No, and it's a lot of times like every pick they made, like, well, I shouldn't say every pick, but a lot of picks were like, yeah, that makes sense. Like a lot of people agreed with it.
Yeah.
And like you go back to drafting Tim Couch, like everybody wanted Tim Couch. It didn't work, but I don't know if that's necessarily the Browns' fault. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't follow the Browns enough, but like at the time, there's a lot of moves to make. But if Horst is the smart guy that isn't just happy to be there and has some balls to be like, yeah, I understand that you want Tim Couch or Johnny Manziel, but yeah, I'm not taking him. I'm going to go this direction. And I'll just remind you that Doc Rivers might be a Hall of Fame coach one day, but he still sucks. So I'll give you that one, and I'll take it somewhere else.
Yeah. Yep. Some of these mailbag questions I think we answered. Maybe one we could talk about a little bit is, do you have any thoughts on this? And I'll quick give a little bit of stats on it. James, good friend James, listener of the pod, I think. He asked, what has the outcome of this season done to attendance and fan expectations? Seems like attendance is way down. So I did look into that, and attendance is down a little bit, and I'm not sure like how to gauge it. Like how much of a reduction in attendance is something to be concerned about, or like, oh wow, that's like a huge drop. But I would say they kind of, looking at the past like 3-4 years, they would average 17,500 fans per game, like very approximate, let's say. And then this year it's more like approximately 17,000. So it seems like they've dropped 500 this year. And this is so far. We don't have a full year, so I don't know how comparable that is. Like, what teams did we play, and that might play into it. But it has dropped a little bit, 17,500 to 17,000, just kind of real round numbers. So anyhow, did you have any thoughts about that with, obviously they're losing, ticket prices I have seen have been cheaper. Some of the game people have been tweeting out like, hey, tickets are pretty cheap tonight. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's tough because the NBA is always going to be the stepchild of the NFL. The NFL is always going to have sold out things, and the NBA is just not going to be the same thing. So it's hard to compare those types of things. But I don't know. You watch an NBA game, and you can look at the seats and say, oh, it doesn't seem like there's anybody there, but there is a lot of people there. And it's like, to your point, like it depends on who they're playing. The games that I've been to, it's like, shit, I went to a game against Charlotte before Charlotte went on this run, and it was packed. I didn't see any open seats. And it was like, all right, like everybody's there, but like the TV audience isn't necessarily the same thing. You look at a Wisconsin Badgers college game, and it seems dead. It seems like, oh, it's just a bunch of rich alumni that are sitting there, and they push the student section into the corner because, they have all the money. They want to sit there and, watch the game. But that's not what it's like if you went to the Kohl Center. It's loud and there's people having fun. But when you watch it on TV, yeah, it doesn't seem like an intimidating place like, for Duke or North Carolina where it's just craziness all the time. So I think there's a little bit of that when you watch these teams that it's like, all right, well, you look at the Lakers and they dim the lights, so you can't even see the crowd. So it's very focused,
that's right.
on the team. The Bucks have the lights on, so you can kind of see what's going on. But I don't know. It's not as dead as you think. And I think the other thing is like, the Giannis thing does get in people's head. If Giannis leaving, the team's not that as good. Of course, they're not going to be as good. So do I want to commit to this team if he's leaving? And 1,001 reasons before it. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see things uptick when Giannis is staying. That we're coming back and he's going to be healthy and we're making a run. Like that's a possibility. Like I'm not overly concerned. It's not to the point where there's dollar seats yet. So I'm okay with it.
Which I'd like to see. I'd like tickets to be cheaper. But yeah, I guess to answer the question, it's really not. It's not terrible. It has dropped. And I think that's obvious. If let's say if they were to trade Giannis, I bet you it would drop significantly, and then they would probably lose a lot, and then probably keep dropping. So I think it kind of makes sense, but maybe it's not as bad as expected. For how bad it is. Like people, 17,000 people per game are still going. That's kind of a lot. So.
Well, I'll just add, like when we went to a game as a group when Giannis was still like kind of early in his career, we were able to move up from like the top rafter to like you can't do that now. So like, just remember, like it is busy enough that you're not moving down to find seats. Like that's not going to happen. So, just for a little bit of frame of reference, it's not like there's all these open seats you can move down like a shitty baseball game or back in the day where you could just. No, that's not happening. Like so. Just remember, like, it's busy enough. 500 people less per game is a big deal, but it's still 17,000 people watching every single game.
I mean, maybe the gauge, like, what would it take for Gruber to not go? For him to stop going to the games? Maybe that's kind of the question.
That's a great question, actually. Sometimes he looks disinterested. It's Gruber, but he's still there. I don't know. If I was a season ticket holder, I would go to every single game that I can watch Giannis. I've said it before, like, shoot me the day that I get sick of watching that guy play and dunk and just dominate the sport. Like, I don't know. He's always going to be a draw for me. And it goes back to, like, if I didn't say it, I meant to say it. I think the Bucks are the only team that are going to give Giannis a max deal. They talked about it in the GOAT. They're like, you really have to trust your player to give him that kind of money. The Bucks trust Giannis. Like, look, if you want to stay here, we will give you the money because at the very least, people are going to come to watch you. At the very least. And as much as we want it to be about the sport and the championship, like it is like billionaires don't buy these things just because they love the game. They want to make some money. So if they pay $275 million for Giannis because they can make 3 times that for ticket sales, like they're going to do it all day. I don't know if he goes to LA that's going to change anything. People just go there to be on TV and, start their night or something like that. It's not the same mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still young enough where he's going to get it. I mean, I think he's going to get
Yeah.
the max from anybody at this point. But when he's 35, that's more of a question, especially with how he plays.
I would just throw. I mean, because of his injury and kind of what I was talking
Yep.
about, he's not a 3-point shooter, free throw. Like it does give a GM a pause. I can.
There's
understand
something
why some
to
coaches-
not every team is going to want him because of the
Right.
fit. If you have a ball dominant, you have Jalen Brunson. Like, do you want Giannis? Are you sure that's a fit? I definitely agree with some of that, where it's like you don't just take Giannis automatically, especially at age 31. At age 23, you're going to take Giannis automatically, or 25, like, yes, we're taking him, but we're going to figure it out. At 31, you're like, I don't know. I think we're going to pass. Like, we got a top 10
just
guard
some flaws, yeah.
who's younger. Like, we're not going to change everything for the 31-year-old who might be hurt. Like, so I think you're right. Not every single team is going to make it work for him, but whoever does, like, I think they're going to pay him.
Well,
now.
I mean, look at the trade packages. The fact every single trade package was like, well, we're willing to give you everything but our best player. So
the trade packages were like, this is kind of shitty, and they're all like, what are you going to get? Like, you got to take shit because you're not going to get anything else. It's like, we don't have to trade him. He didn't even ask out. Like, where are you coming from here?
He's still a
and
top guy in the league. He's by far our best player, but somehow we're not going to get your best player because, like, come on, this is bullshit.
yeah, Zubac got what was he traded for? I thought I had it down. Here we go. The Pacers traded Mathurin, 2 firsts, and a second round pick for Zubac. Zubac's good. I'm not picking on him, but come on. That's Zubac. It's not Giannis, right? So 2 firsts, a second round pick, and Mathurin. And Mathurin, I don't love Mathurin, but he can help a team. He's a 6-man type guy. He helped the Pacers at times. So, okay, that's the price for Zubac. Like, and then whatever, Jaren Jackson Jr. got 3 first-round picks. It's just like you see some of these other trades, like Desmond Bane, I mentioned in that post. It's just you're making like similar trades to that. Like, it's Giannis. Are you going to do that? Are you going to talk about it? And okay, Luka was traded for not much. All right. Everybody criticized that. That's not a comparable. We just cannot compare to that. So,
Well, even
if
the
you're-
Luka one was Anthony Davis was a former #1 pick. Like, there was no mock trades for Giannis with even a former #1 pick. And the thing is, like, these NBA fans, like, if you can cut out the noise, like, all right, Zubac, everyone's like, I saw something that they're like, we turned Miles Turner, who's getting paid 4 years, $108 million by Milwaukee, into Zubac, who's getting 3 years, $58. Oh my God, the Pacers are back. All right, well, just hold on, calm down. Do you remember when the Lakers got super excited for DeAndre Ayton? And we sat here being like, God, I don't want Ayton. And Lakers fans were convinced. DeAndre Ayton, oh my God. I can't believe the rest of the league let us get DeAndre Ayton. Newsflash, DeAndre Ayton fucking sucks. And you're just realizing it, and nobody wants him, and you're stuck with him. Like, yeah, former #1 pick, good job.
Yeah.
He's terrible. By the way, I'm going to throw out an interesting stat. The year that Ayton was drafted, which I want to say was 18, let's just say it is for argument's sake,
okay.
every lottery pick from that draft has been traded at least once.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Wow, that's interesting. That's pretty interesting.
Jaren
So
Jackson
none
was
of
like
them
the
have
last
been-
one to not get traded. But
Okay.
like Luka's now been traded 3 times because it was a draft night trade.
I see. That's kind of
Trae
cheating.
Young was traded 3 times because of that draft thing. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, literally every player's been at least traded once.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact.
Okay, let's end it on this. How do you see the Bucks finishing this season? I guess first of all, do we agree that they're actually trying to win?
Yeah. What? Yeah, of course they are.
Okay. So, and do you like that? Like, I guess what's your take on it? I think I said what I thought, but
I'm never a big fan of tanking. It's just I don't know. I feel like the other thing is like we're gym rat guys at best, but it's like these are professional athletes that are paying millions of dollars. Like they have something in you that you're not going to understand. That they have the drive to win all the time. Like I don't care who they're playing. It's like I have to win. So you could look at any athlete and any sport, and they're like, "Well, why don't you just sit?" They don't look at it that way. Like you look at the NFL when it was like the Giants and the Raiders, and they're like, "Oh, just sit everyone." These guys are professional athletes. They want to go out there and kick ass, and that's what they want to do. You're not going to shut down a Giannis and the rest of these. Like, who are you going to get on that team to buy into a let's tank? So
Yeah.
unless Giannis is completely hurt and out for the year, go for it. Just put everything in there and see what happens.
Yeah, my take, I think the I don't like purposely losing. I'm kind of against that all the time. You know, at the end of the season, sometimes it's like, hey, if we lose, we're gonna match up with this team, so that's better for us. So let's lose. Like, I think you never should do that. I think you just go out, you play, you win. You know, if you win, you end up matching up with whoever you match up with. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna have to play them anyways. Like, we're just, you know, I think if you purposely lose, you're like messing with the mentality and the attitude, and I think you're hurting yourself. So in the same way, I don't like the concept of let's try to lose games. But I think what I would lean to, which I guess we've talked about a little bit, is like I would purposefully be playing young guys to see what you have. And maybe that means you're losing, you know, and I guess I'm saying I'm fine with losing if we're giving playing time for young guys to kind of see them grow and see if they're going to turn into something. So in terms of like, hey, we should tank, I guess that's what I mean. We should tank, quote unquote, meaning let's play Ajax, let's play Nance, let's play Rollins. Let's not start Amir Coffee. You know, it's just like, that's stupid, you know? And like, so in a sense, so I think you always should be trying to win the game, but at the same time, who you're playing is setting up for the future. I guess so that's kind of how I would be thinking about it.
I couldn't agree more. It's you don't go out there to try to lose, but go in the mentality that losing is okay. So, yes, we already know who Amir Coffey is. We already know who Torian Prince is. Like, we already know who these guys are. Like, Torian Prince has been in the league for X number of years. You know what you're getting, but you don't know what you're getting from Ajax. You don't know what you're getting from this new French guy. You don't know. Give it a shot. To your point, Pete Nance has provided some energy. He always looks like he's wearing like 1950s shorts to me, which is always like bothering me. But
He does.
he's playing well. He's doing like a lot of good things. You know, get AJ Green some more shots. Let him have one of those games like we just saw where Trey Murphy the third had 14, 12, 14.
He made 12
points.
threes.
Yeah,
He made 12. He took probably 19 at the
17 or
end,
18
probably.
or something like that.
Yeah.
But like AJ Green, like give him a game like that.
Get
See
him
what
more
happens.
shots. My goodness. He needs
And
more shots. I don't know how much is on him and how much is on the coaching staff, but like he has to shoot more or it's just like you're not that valuable.
Right. And I'll say, the one last thing I'm going to say on this is like, I completely agree. Put some young guys out there. Go with the mentality that losing is okay, but let's see. Maybe we'll win. Maybe we'll find like the perfect combination, and maybe it's even like something funky where like Bobby Portis is like the new Thanasis coming off like late. Like I don't know. Like let's get crazy with it and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that the game where they drew up that play for Turner to hit that three at the end of regulation was one of the best plays I've seen written up in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know who did that, but they deserve a lot of credit. And the fact that the refs overturned that is like, holy shit. Like the fact that they also said it was the left foot that was out of bounds. That was the one that even like when you're watching it, you're like, maybe the right, the right.
Exactly.
The left foot was like, come on, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's like they go to review and get it wrong. It's just like, what are we doing? That's what makes me be like, just don't review anything. Just play the game. Sometimes it's going to be real frustrating, but I guess it is now too. Like, we're not actually helping that. So just play the game. There'll be quicker games. We don't have to, send it to Skinny Atlas or wherever they go to. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think if Giannis is healthy and it sounds like he's coming back sooner than maybe we would like in terms of like, hey, make sure you're healthy. But it sounds like he's going to be playing. I assume they're going to make a plan. I mean, with Giannis, they have to be better, right? I mean, they can't continue to be this bad all season. I hope.
No, I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine it. There's something that's going on that it's like look, as much as we hate Doc, he's got the 8th most wins of all time. There's something that can work every once in a while. He just hasn't found it yet. And that can be, maybe if you want to defend him, like Giannis and Dame both got hurt under situations, and Giannis is hurt this year. And maybe Doc is more of a black and white guy and can't see the future with young guys. And maybe that's something that's going to change. But like, you have to have optimism here. Like the fact that you listen to any other podcast and these reports that make it seem like the Bucks are by far the worst team, and oh my God, if they don't trade Giannis, it's going to get worse. Shut the fuck up. Like we're far from the worst team. We're also far from the best team. I completely get that, but I think one of our first episodes of this season we talked about all you have to do is make the playoffs. Look at all these teams that have been the 8th seed recently and made it to the finals. Like, just get hot at the right time and find things that click.
Yeah, it's kind of a interesting. I mean, Detroit's the number 1 seed by far. I mean, they are good. Kate Cunningham's amazing, but it's kind of like I feel like you have a chance against Detroit. I mean, it's not OKC. I guess OKC is different. The West is a little bit different. The East is kind of like I don't know. I feel like you could beat anybody. Anyway, all right, let's call it. You know what? Subscribe and rate us on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Email us at doubledribblebucks@gmail.com. Text us, call us, however you want to contact us. And follow us on Twitter at PodDDB. We've been somewhat active recently. We'll see if that continues. Until next time, go Bucks.